Before the story begins, take a moment to breathe this world in. If you're drawn to dark romance, quiet obsession, and the kind of love that never raises its voice, but still commands everything, subscribe now. These stories are not about men who chase. They are about men who decide. The wind is already rising when the Duke speaks. Stay in my house tonight. It is not said gently. It is not said cruelly. It is said the way one states a fact that has already been decided. I stop at the threshold of the carriage house, my cloak pulled tight around me, my breath fogging the air between us. Snow schemes along the stone courtyard like something alive, whispering against the iron gates. Night has fallen faster than expected. The road back to the village is long unlit, and already disappearing beneath white. I can still make it, I say, though even to my own ears the words sound thin. The Duke turns slowly. He does not raise his voice. He does not move closer. He only looks at me, and something in that look tells me I have misjudged the situation entirely. No, he says. You can't. The certainty of it unsettles me more than the cold. I have known him only 3 days. 3 days since my uncle's sudden illness forced me to bring documents to the estate personally. 3 days of corridors that echo too much, servants who watch without staring, and a Duke who speaks little, but misses nothing. His house looms behind him now, vast and dark, its windows glowing faintly like watchful eyes. The ducal estate has stood here for centuries, untouched by modern roads or conveniences. It is a place built for permanence, for endurance, for control. I don't want to be an inconvenience, I say. He inclines his head once, as if acknowledging something irrelevant. You aren't. The wind sharpens, slicing through wool and resolve alike. Somewhere far beyond the gates, a branch cracks beneath snow. The world feels suddenly smaller, narrower, like it is pressing me inward. You'll stay, he continues, because the storm will worsen by midnight. The road will ice. And because if you attempt to leave, you will not reach the village. His eyes hold mine. Calm. Unblinking. This is not an offer. A shiver runs through me that has nothing to do with the temperature. I nod. The servants appear as if summoned by the tilt of his head. My bag is taken from my hand before I realize I've loosened my grip. The Duke turns without waiting to see if I follow. And I do. The guest room is larger than my entire apartment back home. A fire burns low in the hearth. Fresh linens. Heavy drapes. A sense that someone has anticipated my presence long before I agreed to it. You'll be comfortable here, the Duke says from the doorway. I don't need much, I reply. I know. That too unsettles me. He does not enter the room. He does not cross the threshold. He simply stands there, hands clasped behind his back, posture precise. Dinner will be served in an hour, he says. You may rest until then. And you? I ask before I can stop myself. One dark brow lifts slightly. I'll be here. The words land with weight. Not threatening. Not reassuring. Just final. Dinner is quiet. Not awkward, intentional. The long table places us across from each other. Candlelight stretching shadows along polished wood. He eats with measured movements. Never rushing. Never lingering. I am acutely aware of every sound I make in contrast. The faint scrape of cutlery, the soft intake of breath. You don't speak much, I say at last. Neither do you, he replies. That's because you're intimidating. A pause. Then unexpectedly the corner of his mouth tilts. Not a smile but something close. Good. I choke slightly on my wine. He watches. Not my face. My hands. You're safe here, he says after a moment. I didn't say I wasn't. No, he agrees. But you're thinking it. The fire crackles. Outside the storm deepens. Snow begins to strike the windows with force. I set my glass down carefully. Why are you really insisting I stay? I ask. He considers me for a long moment before answering. Because if something happened to you on my land, he says, it would be my responsibility. That sounds dutiful. It is. And nothing else? His gaze sharpens, not with hunger, not with desire, but with something heavier. Nothing that concerns you, he says. I should leave it there. I don't. But I do concern you, I say quietly. Silence stretches between us. Then softly. Yes. That night, I wake to the sound of footsteps. Not hurried. Not stealthy. Measured. My door remains closed, but the presence beyond it is unmistakable. I sit up in bed, heart racing, listening as the steps pause, then retreat. I tell myself it means nothing. I tell myself many things. By the second day, the storm has sealed us in completely. The gates are impassable. The road invisible. The world beyond the estate effectively erased. We occupy the house together without colliding. When I read in the library, he works at the far table. When I walk the corridors, he seems to know where I will turn before I do. At midday, I find him in the gallery, studying a portrait of his ancestors. You look like them, I say. I know. They all look lonely. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. They ruled, he says. Loneliness is often confused with authority. And you? I ask. He turns to me fully now. What do I look like? I hesitate, then decide to be honest. Like someone who learned early not to ask for permission. Something dark and unreadable moves behind his eyes. That's enough, he says. But he doesn't walk away. That evening the power fails. The house plunges into darkness so complete it feels unreal. I gasp despite myself. Stay where you are. His voice comes instantly from nearby. I do. A moment later a lamp flares to life. He holds it steady, light carving his features into sharp relief. Come with me, he says. He leads me not to my room, but to his study. The fire there is already lit. I don't sleep well in storms, I admit quietly. I know. Again. I wrap my arms around myself. You can stay here, he says. The walls are thicker. And you. I'll remain. Takes me a second to understand. You're not leaving? No. The air between us tightens. I don't need a guard, I say. This isn't about guarding you. Then what is it about? I sit on the edge of the couch. He remains standing. You don't touch people much, I say. A dangerous thing to say. I touch when necessary, he replies. And is this necessary? He steps closer, not close enough to touch, but enough that I feel him. Heat. Presence. Gravity. Yes, he says quietly. I wake before dawn. I'm not alone. He sits in the armchair opposite the couch, coat still on, eyes open. You didn't sleep, I murmur. I did. You're watching me. Yes. The word sends something electric through my chest. Why? I whisper. Because you don't belong unobserved, he says. That sounds like possession. He stands slowly. No, he says. It sounds like responsibility. He stops in front of me. So long as you are in my house, he continues, nothing touches you without my consent. My breath stutters. And my consent? I ask. His gaze drops, not to my body but to my mouth. That, he says softly, has not yet been tested. The storm outside begins to quiet. But something between us has fully awakened. And I understand now. I am not trapped here by snow. I am here because the Duke decided I would be. And he does not reverse decisions. The storm does not end cleanly. It loosens its grip slowly, as if reluctant to release the estate from its hold. Morning light filters through frost-laced windows in pale bands, revealing a world muted and reshaped. Snowdrifts press against the lower walls like quiet sentinels. The house breathes differently in daylight, less imposing perhaps but no less watchful. I dress carefully, aware of him even when he is not in the room. By the time I step into the corridor, servants are already moving with practiced calm. Breakfast is laid. Fires are stoked. Nothing about the household suggests disruption. Except him. The Duke stands near the tall windows of the breakfast room, hands clasped behind his back, gaze fixed on the land beyond the glass. He does not turn when I enter. You slept, he says. Yes. Good. I take my seat across from him, the same distance as before, though it feels altered now, charged by what has been spoken and more importantly what has not. The storm is easing, I say. It is. So I'll be able to leave today. A pause. Yes, he says finally. The word should feel like freedom. Instead it lands like loss. He sits, folds his napkin with exactness, and pours tea for both of us. The gesture is intimate in its normalcy. You don't rush departures, I observe. No. Are you waiting for something? His eyes lift to mine. For you to understand something, he says. My pulse quickens. And that protection has a cost, he replies evenly. Not payment. Loyalty. I swallow. I don't recall agreeing to anything. You agreed when you stayed. I stayed because you told me to. Yes. The admission is unflinching. And now, I ask, what happens when I leave? He studies me with the same careful attention he gives everything under his authority. You'll go back to your life, he says. But you won't be unclaimed. The word sends a shiver through me. Claimed by whom? I ask softly. He does not answer. Later, as I prepare my belongings, a servant informs me the carriage will be ready within the hour. I move slowly, deliberately, as if haste might undo something fragile. When I step into the hall, the Duke is there. I wanted to speak with you, he says. So did I. He gestures toward the small winter salon, a room lined with books and low windows overlooking the frozen gardens. We sit opposite each other, closer than before. You could have left this morning without seeing me, he says. I didn't want to. Something like approval flickers in his eyes. The world beyond my gates is less forgiving, he continues. People will speculate. They will ask where you were during the storm. I can handle rumors. I know. He leans forward slightly. But rumors can be useful. To whom? To me, he says calmly. And therefore, to you. I search his face. You're letting them believe something happened between us. Yes. And did it? His gaze drops, not in avoidance but consideration. Something began, he says. That is enough. The words wrap around me. Heavy and deliberate. You're dangerous, I say. Yes. You're also honest. Yes. A beat. If I say no to whatever this is, I ask, will you stop? He does not hesitate. Yes. The simplicity of it steals my breath. And if I say yes, then you will not be treated lightly, he says. Not by me. Not by anyone. The carriage wheels crunch outside. Time presses in. I stand. He does not. I don't know what I'm agreeing to, I admit. You don't need to, he says. Only what you're refusing. I step closer. Close enough now that I feel the heat of him, the stillness he commands. I'm not refusing, I whisper. His hand lifts, stops inches from my wrist. He does not touch. Then go, he says quietly. And return when you're ready to be deliberate. The restraint in that moment is unbearable. I turn away before it breaks me. The village feels smaller than before. Noisy, uncontained. And true to his word, the rumors begin immediately. By nightfall, people look at me differently. Carefully. As if I am no longer available for casual judgment. By the third day, an envelope arrives. Heavy paper. No signature. Inside, a single line. When you decide to stay, you will not be asked twice. I close my eyes. I already know. The Duke does not chase. He waits. And I am already halfway back to his gates.